Thank you. So 10 steps to zero waste. It's exciting to be in this European Zero Waste meeting. I like Zabor, Zero Zabor. I like that. I'm only going to say one thing about incinerators. Even if we made incineration safe, we would never make it sensible. It simply does not make sense to spend so much money destroying resources that we should be sharing with the future. Now, we've written a book about zero waste. In the front row, we have Rossano Ercolini and Patricia Lasciotto. The book is in Italian, but I believe there will be a Spanish version soon. So 10 steps to zero waste. There they are in total, and I should be talking a little bit about each step. So if we start with source separation and door-to-door collection, that's what it looks like in San Francisco. Once a week, 3 containers, 1 for the recyclables, 1 for the compostables, and 1 for the residuals. In Anani, in Basque Country, I think you know where that is, they have a 4-container system, and different containers are picked up on different days. And it's a unique collection system. I have not seen anything as elegant and creative anywhere in the world. I've been to 55 countries on this issue, and that is the most creative collection system. Now, those brown containers are for the organic waste, and you can see how effective it is because the organic fraction in Anani is 99.76% pure. That is fantastic. You're doing very well if you get 95%, but 99.76% shows how well this system is working. And it has to. You have to have clean organics if farmers are going to use it to grow food, as they're doing in San Francisco. And recycling, I think you're all familiar with recycling. But these materials here are going to increase in value with China and India and other countries consuming more and more, catching up with us. And you're going to look very silly if you are destroying these resources in an incinerator in years to come. Reuse, repair, and deconstruction. There's a wonderful example of this in Berkeley, California. It's called Urban Ore. It's a large warehouse. And there you see people who are buying appliances and furniture, everything that you can think of, but all second-hand, including building materials. Builders take in doors and windows and various items from deconstructed buildings. And this has been running for 30 years in Berkeley. It's grossing $3 million a year and has created 12 full-time jobs. Over in Burlington, Vermont, you have another operation called Recycle North, and there you see in the bottom 2 pictures the kind of layouts there, immaculate layouts. It looks like a department store, but it's all for second-hand materials. And also in this facility, they are training people. They're taking people off the street and training them to repair large appliances or small appliances, electrical goods, or computers. And they train them for 6 months, then help them to get a job. And they also link to deconstruction, companies which take down buildings in the reverse order that they were put up, and the salvaged materials are then used by other companies for building projects and citizens do-it-yourself and so on. Now, step 6 is waste reduction, and there we see all kinds of initiatives around the world. In Ireland, the government put a 15-cent tax on plastic shopping bags, and to everybody's amazement, in 1 year they reduced the amount of bags that people were using by 92%. In Italy, some of the supermarkets allow you to refill your own bottles with detergent and shampoo, and some also for water and milk and wine. And this store, my favorite store in Italy, Evicotta in Capanari, near Lucca in Tuscany, 60 different taps for 60 liquids. And here you see people refilling their own detergent bottles, own olive oil, and vino, the wine. You help yourself. This excellent, my favorite store. Rossano Ercolini, These are his primary school children. They're drinking tap water, not bottled water, and they're drinking it from glass, and they're eating off china and stainless steel, not plastics. And we need every institution in Basque Country to get rid of this plastic, throwaway plastics. Let's go back to glass, ceramic, and stainless steel, and employ people to wash these utensils after they've used. We can involve our babies. This is Eco Bimbi, reusable diapers, not throwaway diapers. The pay-by-bag system, I think you have this working in Ersebil in Basque Country. The idea here is the compostables and recyclables are free, but the residual fraction, the more you make, the more you pay. Step 8. Step 8 is the most important step if you're really serious about getting close to zero waste. It completely avoids incineration. Now, incineration is attractive to the throwaway industry, the throwaway manufacturers of throwaway goods, because it makes them disappear. But in zero waste, we want the residual fraction to be very visible, because these are our mistakes, and we have to change these mistakes. This bad industrial design, bad purchasing habits, these have to be changed if we're going to get to zero waste and sustainability. So step 8 then is building a residual separation and research facility in front of the landfill. No waste can go directly into the landfill. It must go through this facility. And in this facility, we can pull out more recyclables, we can pull out more toxics, we can stabilize the dirty organic fraction above ground in either composting or anaerobic digestion, stabilize it above ground before it causes the problems underground in a landfill. And finally, we have to study the non-recyclable fraction. So this is operating. This facility is operating in Nova Scotia, and what we need now is to introduce a zero waste research center in facilities like this. Kapaneri, and I'm sure Rossano will talk more about this, has already started a zero waste research center. Very small, but it's a beginning. Now we need our local professors and students who are interested in sustainability. This is your laboratory. This is the laboratory of our current mistakes. These are the symptoms of an illness, and we have to study the symptoms. We have to cure that illness, and we need the brightest minds in our society doing this. So the message that we have to send to industry is, if we can't reuse it, if we can't recycle it, if we can't compost it, then you shouldn't be making it. And when you've got communities like Ersebil, which are over 89% diversion, you have the moral authority. You have shown that you can take responsibility in your community, but you can't get to zero by yourselves. And that's why you have to say to industry, if we can't reuse it, recycle it, or compost it, then industry shouldn't be making it. We need better industrial design for the 21st century. Ultimately, waste is a design problem. Nature makes no waste. It's a human invention. It's bad human design, and we have to change that. So we need better industrial design. That's step 9, and of course that's going to be backed up at the very end with an interim landfill, a temporary landfill, to receive now the biologically stabilized organic waste and the non-recyclable fraction. So I think one thing in this area, you already have municipally owned landfills. Let's start building these facilities in front of those landfills. Let's intercept now. Let's introduce discipline. Let's introduce what nature has, feedback mechanisms. We need a feedback mechanism on bad industrial design and bad purchasing habits. So there again then are all our 10 steps backed up with the temporary landfill, which by 2020 we hope is receiving very, very little waste. And you'll notice, just to see how far we've come, in San Francisco, which has a population 850,000, very little space. They have reached 78% diversion from landfill by 2011 without using incinerators. In fact, 78% reduction is greater than you get with incineration. With incineration, you get a 75% reduction because 25% is less as ash. So think about it for a moment. There were people trying to build an incinerator in San Francisco in 1985. They didn't succeed. But if they had done, they would have squandered a huge amount of money. They would have produced a lot of toxic air emissions. They would have been left with a lot of toxic ash. They would have created very few jobs. But instead, they took this path, the zero waste path, and they're doing very well. A greater reduction than they would have done with incineration. And yes, their goal for 2020 is zero waste. Now, I'm not suggesting for one moment that America as a whole is good on waste. It is not. We have so much space. We have many, many landfills. But I will also tell you the best things on the environment always begin in California. So it's very exciting to see these very good programs in California because that will tell us that they're going to cross the United States. Now, Italy is one of the other very exciting places for zero waste. Over 200 communities are getting more than 70% diversion using door-to-door collection systems. And some of them are doing it extremely quickly. For example, Novara, a population of 100,000, 70% in just 18 months. And Salerno, near Naples, a population of 145,000, not so much smaller than San Sebastian, was able to get to 72% in just 1 year. And then Villafranca d'Asti, a population of 3,000, 85% diversion. But the record, as of a couple of years ago, was in Spain. Ersabil went from 28% to 86% in 7 months. I visited it yesterday for the first time. They're now up to over 89% diversion. So zero waste is a new direction. We have to move from the back end of waste disposal to the front end of industrial design. And so if you look at these 10 steps again, it begins with everyone and begins with these. Everyone's 10 fingers are necessary to sort out to begin with. If you mix, you have waste, and there's no solution. But if you separate, then you can compost, recycle, and so on. So we begin with everybody's fingers, but we're going to end here with the brightest minds in our society, our professors and students at universities, and our best designers in our industry, tapping into the best minds. And we need to tap into the best minds because this isn't just about waste. This isn't just about zero waste. This is using zero waste as a stepping stone to sustainability. So the conclusions on this program is we don't need mega landfills and incinerators. There is a better alternative, which is called the zero waste strategy. It's better for our health, less toxics. It's better for our economy, more jobs, many more jobs. It's better for our, I missed out one, it's better for our universities, more meaning. We're giving more relevance to universities if we get them involved in a community problem and get them involved in a global problem in a concrete fashion. That gives more meaning to our professors and students. It gives our children more hope about the future. Here is a plan to make so that they've got something left for themselves and their children and their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren. And finally, it's better for the planet because it is more sustainable. Incineration is simply not sustainable. Landfills are not sustainable. Zero waste is moving towards sustainability. And that's another reason that we want our professors and students involved, because we need to link the success and the psychology, the good psychology of curing the waste problem, and link it with these other aspects that we have to get right for sustainability, which are more, if you like, more remote from the ordinary person. Waste is very close to all of us. So we can link zero waste with industry, sustainable industry, with better industrial design. We can link zero waste to sustainable agriculture through composting. We are linking with education because we're integrating higher education into the zero waste program. We can link sustainable architecture because of deconstruction of old buildings and using secondary materials in new buildings. We can link to sustainable energy with anaerobic digestion of the organic fraction, but most importantly, we have to give the message to government that incineration is not sustainable. It's not alternative energy. It's not green energy. This is a waste of taxpayers' money to subsidize incinerators. We can link to sustainable economic development. Incineration is one big black box. Zero waste is hundreds of little green boxes, hundreds of little businesses that can grow up providing services and recapturing materials and using those materials in the local community, hundreds of green boxes. And we can link to sustainable community development with those reuse and repair centers. Because one of the things that those reuse and repair centers do is they attract people. People enjoy going to these reuse centers. They're fun. And that's where you're going to meet interesting people. So we can use these reuse repair centers to regenerate communities, to regenerate the village inside our large cities. So there are many ways then that we can link success of the zero waste movement with other aspects of sustainability. And thank you very, very much for listening.